To boil. To boil. It means to cook food by putting it in water that is boiling. For example, I've boiled some potatoes for dinner. To grill. To grill. It means to cook food over fire or hot coals, usually on a metal frame. For example, my dad was grilling chicken in the backyard. To fry. To fry. It means to cook food in hot oil or fat. For example, fry the mushrooms in a little butter. To roast. To roast. It means to cook food in an oven or over a fire. For example, just roast the chicken in the oven and baste it in oil and lemon. To bake. To bake. It means to cook inside an oven. For example, I made the icing while the cake was baking. To stew. To stew. It means to cook meat, fish, vegetables or fruit slowly and gently in a little liquid. For example, the meat still needs to stew. To steam. To steam. It means to cook food using steam. For example, she prefers to steam carrots rather than boil them. To break. To break. It means to separate something into pieces. For example, break the eggs carefully and keep the yellow part aside. To chop. To chop. It means to cut something into small pieces. For example, chop the onions and make sure they are more or less identical in size. To cut. To cut. It means to separate something using a knife. For example, cut all the vegetables before starting the oven. To grate. To grate. It means to rub food against a grater in order to cut it into a lot of small pieces. For example, now grate the onions and add them to the mix. To stir. To stir. It means to mix a liquid or other substance by moving an object such as a spoon in a circular pattern. For example, stir the sauce gently until it begins to boil. To whip. To whip. It means to beat food, especially cream, with a special piece of equipment in order to make it thick and firm. For example, could you whip the cream for me?